All the people you say here on the panel are essentially people who invest in deep tech technologies across the country and globe as well. The intent today is to essentially understand from the investors what is the kind of investment thesis they run, what is the kind of deep tech investments they've done, and what are the kind of challenges and opportunities they see in deep tech. So without much ado, let me just start with setting the context. Why don't we just go around, introduce yourselves, start the discussion.
Sure. My name is Dhruv Kapoor. I represent Systema Asia Capital. We are backed by Russia's Systema Group. We look at deep tech more from the application or use cases that are more global specific and India specific. So for example, we along with Chirate are investors in and actually Yornest are investors in Uniphore, which is an AI company focused on the call center industry, which is a large $400 billion industry globally. We also have a lot of fintech investments in the lending side where technologies like artificial intelligence and machine learning fundamentally disrupt the way credit models are built. So our focus largely is on the application and use cases of all these frontier technologies that we are seeing today evolve.
Thanks, Girish. So my name is Karan Mola. At Chirate, we were actually known as IDG Ventures earlier. Some of you may be more familiar with that name. But it's essentially the same team. We've been investing since 2006. Investments on deep tech started when deep tech and AI were not buzzwords. And they were, I think, more by accident than design. And the way we invest across sectors is consumer tech, healthcare, fintech, and enterprise software. In a bunch of those areas, increasingly, obviously, deep tech and AI play a transformational role. As Dhruv said, not just on the application side, but also on the core technology part of it. But in terms of deep tech, our first set of investments were on the healthcare side with companies like Perfint and Forus 8-10 years back. Since then, we've looked at more companies on the healthcare side, including Healthify.me, which is an investment we have with Systema, which is one of the largest healthcare AI platforms, which is consumer-facing. And it's a global play today. In fintech, there are a couple of companies that we've invested in more recently. And then I think in the last 1 year, there are 2-3 companies which are slightly more, 2 companies which are consumer-facing. One again with Yornest, a company called Emotix, which is one of the world's first companion robots, which it's a hardware product, but there is an underlying software which is completely NLP based and is able to do two-way conversations. There is a company called Play Shifu, which is an integrated education and learning platform. And then lastly, there's a company called Cropin, which is a agri-tech SaaS platform on the application side, but there is a core deep tech AI engine which helps farmers and agri-businesses globally improve their yield. So if you look at what we've done across many sectors over the last 7-8 years, more and more of the companies that get invested in actually end up being or having very deep layers of deep tech or AI. Not just on the application side. And at least our belief is as we go forward, more and more companies will continue to build these kinds of platforms from India.
Hi, I'm Mukul Singhal, representing Privega Ventures. We are an early stage technology venture capital fund, and we invest anywhere before Series A. So it can be seed, it can be paper plan, it can be pre-Series A. So that is the spectrum where we play in. We are a fairly broad-based venture investor beyond technology layer, and we do a very bottoms-up investing. That's our style of investing as a fund, as a team. On the question of technology and how we see the deep tech, I've been investing in India since 2006, when venture was not considered as an investing actually, because it's a very small market. And for me, the definition of technology has evolved since then. And to give you an example, in 2006, when somebody used to bring a .com site, good-looking site, everybody used to get excited about it. After 5 years, everybody used to get excited about any app or any mobile, anything which is mobile. So for me, technology definition has evolved with time. These days, we get excited about where there is a shades of AI and ML, and after 5 years, it can be something else. But fundamentally, when we look at it, we try to project if this particular trend or technology can fundamentally changing the way consumers and enterprises are consuming products and services. That's how we took a very 100,000 feet lens. Honestly, we don't have any other option because we come at that early stage because nothing else is available.
Thanks, Girish. A very good afternoon. My name is Hemendra Mathur. I work as venture partner with Bharat Innovation Fund. It's a fund out of IIM Ahmedabad's Center for Innovation, Incubation and Entrepreneurship. It used to be called CIIE. We have recently rebranded it to CIIE.co. The fund was launched about a couple of years back. We've been on roads raising it. We did a first close last year at about $50 million. Hopefully, we'll be doing the final close at about $100 million very soon. Thesis is around deep tech. Again, the definitions could vary from fund to fund. And it, of course, keep evolving for us also. The way we define deep tech is essentially anything which is IP-driven, has some proprietary tech or defensible tech, which is kind of ahead of the curve and has a huge market. The fact that we have Bharat in our name, we look at technologies which can potentially be scaled to the last section of Indian consuming class as well as globally. So that's how we define it. We have been making investment for last 1.5 years now. We are with Chirate together in PlayShafu, which is an educational tech company. We invested in Entropic Tech, which is probably India's first emotion recognition AI platform with use cases primarily in media and consumer research. We've invested in a company called Detect, which is essentially a predictive maintenance platform with a lot of use cases in oil and gas pipelines. It predicts the leakages and stuff like that. We're also invested in Credit Vidya. Some of you may be familiar with that. It's a credit scoring platform, essentially for first-time borrowers who don't have a credit score, right? So essentially, reading the data from the mobile phone and figuring out an algorithm to figure out the credit worthiness and build a score upon it. And lastly, we are also in vPhrase, which is again a AI-based business intelligence platform. So it's an early days for our fund, and hopefully we'll be doing about 15 to 20 odd deals in next few years. We typically come at a pre-series level with a first check of about $1 to $2 million, with the hope that we can do one more round. So that's where we are. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. I think as an ecosystem, we've seen technology play a large differentiating role from an evolution perspective. I think it might be a good idea to kind of touch upon what are the kind of challenges you've seen when you are evaluating some of these tech or deep tech opportunities. Because we've seen from a evaluation, from a market size perspective, from access to the right set of people perspective. What are some of those challenges that you guys have seen, and how are you going about mitigating some of those challenges?
So I think, with every trend, there are a lot of buzzwords get thrown around. And the idea is to figure out what is true versus what's not. So the way we go about figuring out what is the true tech potential of a company is we split our diligence into business and tech. On the business side, the deal team here in India, we would analyze the market, competitive landscape, value proposition, etc., etc. But on the tech side, we like to get our parent involved because, Systema has 18 industries across various sectors, and all of them have tech, the latest tech architectures and the tech teams. So we introduce the company to the relevant daughter company, and they become a customer, and then we get first-hand customer feedback on whether this is truly disruptive, whether this is truly tech, and is it what they are claiming it to be. So in cases where Systema may not have that expertise, we've built a network of experts in India that worked with us previously. So in a lending company, when we were evaluating the machine learning algorithm, we actually flew down an expert, and he spent a day with the tech team to analyze that potential. And then collectively, the business and the tech diligence, we converged them and arrived at a decision. So that's how we sort of try to figure out the real from the unreal.
So, for us, because we play across the spectrum of a few different stages, I've seen that it definitely varies based on where you're coming in as an investor, right? If it's a pure paper plan, like Mukul mentioned, I think it's different. But broadly, I think you can break it down into maybe 3-4 different areas. And if you look at, as Dhruv was saying, there's the business part of it, and then there's the company-specific, technology-specific, opportunity-specific part of it. Within that, I think probably 3-4 things we spend time on are around the core technology itself. Generally, I think one would not have the expertise within the team to be able to look at doing a proper job of that. And I think we also engage with third parties or people within our networks. The second part of it is, especially if it's more of a B2B or even a B2B2C opportunity, I think the way the company is thinking about go-to-market, right? Whether they're thinking about going to SME clients or enterprise clients, whether it's in India, whether it's outside, I think stress testing some of those validations, because it's unlikely a lot of those would be in play at the time you're investing, unless it's a beyond the Series A company. So I think the whole go-to-market, how partnerships and commercialization will happen. And then the third is around what the tech and product roadmap is. Again, each opportunity has its own nuances. But having an understanding of, or being able to have the clarity with the founders in terms of how they're thinking about, not just a feature, but a product, and then not just a product, but multiple products in a platform, that becomes important, because that's how scalability will happen over a period of time. That's also true for if it's a pure B2C, deep tech opportunity. So I think those are the 2 or 3 elements that you think about. The one part which always gets, I think, tricky to measure is, everybody has a data science team. But what that really means, what does that really mean, right? And how are they building their the engine behind the product itself? I think as investors grow a little bit more comfortable with evaluating what that data science is on the back end, that will help also create a better set of, I don't want to say diligence, but I think a better set of questions in terms of what constitutes a better data platform versus the other. I think those are the 3-4 areas which we've spent more time on the last year or so.
On this, we primarily face 3 challenges, and coming out of 2 characteristics of technology, good and bad, I don't know. One, in our opinion, in my observation, technology has a very strong commoditization curve. In the sense, what was difficult 10 years back is not difficult today. What was difficult 5 years back is less difficult. And what is difficult today will not be difficult 5 years down the line. And it becomes cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. Second, most of the times, and this is most of our experience, what we see sitting in India, the technology is becoming a great leveler for all demographies and all in countries and all. So if I am a security company, I will pretty much fight with a security company in US or Russia or Israel. Exception is the price points. But on the technology side, I'll compete in the global world. Those are the 2 characteristics and the challenge.
So in terms of challenges, of course, lots have been shared, and I would resonate with that. Having said that, when it comes to deep tech, I think there are challenges through the entire cycle of deal making and sort of scaling those companies, right from deal sourcing I think it's important to catch them early, and that's where we are fortunate to have an incubator. And we typically, if you find something which is very interesting tech, we sort of have a courtship period there and figure out how tech is evolving. And I don't think that one incubator is enough. We of course proactively go to other incubators. A lot of these incubators at IIT, I myself sit on the board of some of these incubators to see what's going on, what is being developed. So I think that's one area probably we need to be more proactive.
Not much to add because, like I said, we look at largely technology from a use case and an application standpoint, and those are not IP-able or patentable. So, nothing else to add other than what Karan added.
For us, Grish, we have not seen much of companies where the IP protection has come out in play. We have, again, echoing the same thing with Karan, when entrepreneurs do come in, we encourage to get done those IP protections, patents, but it just stops at that. And if it is a process patent, then some other companies does the same problem with a different process. And I've never seen that quality of patent, at least in the companies where we have participated in.
So we've actually seen a couple of entrepreneurs actually coming back to us saying that we really don't want to patent this technology, because by filing an IP, I'm actually putting everything in the public domain anyways. So why should I do it? Let it remain a black box for the world, and we'll figure out if somebody crosses that Rubicon, which is an interesting thought, I thought as well. Thank you so much. Thank you.